This video, you're going to hear from the person who did this development behind me. It's the wine rack in Ipswich, a £26 million development. I met John Howard a couple of weeks ago, and we followed up with an online call, which I recorded a bit of for you to see.
My predictions for the next year. I normally get them somewhere near right. So yeah.
Perfect. So everyone can find your predictions, which I heard on Monday. On your
you heard Monday live, but they'll be going on. Yeah, I'll do a YouTube probably just after Christmas, early New Year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fantastic. And I know one thing your wife says, John, is your biggest strength, and I think you're being too humble where you say it's your only strength. But is that you keep going, you get up and you go and you do. Yeah. Would you say that's been the key to your success?
Well, she says lots of things, to be honest with you, but that's the most positive she says. So yeah, I know. I think being mentally consistent is really, really important. It's so important to be mentally consistent, and also your message needs to be consistent to the tenant, to the agents you deal with, to other dealers. You know, what I do find is that it's all about networking. You know, you go to these networking events, and Ming is a very good example. They've got some good people there. You know, some people who are doing deals, who are busy, and networking and getting to know them. The one thing I find a little bit odd in a way these days is that people don't, maybe because it's all email and WhatsApp and everything, but you know, buying someone a coffee, sitting down with them, an agent or someone who you connect with, who's looking for deals as well as you, you know, you can work together, or you can, you know, I've got lots of people who, some of them are retiring now, by the way, my age, but anyway, there's less of them probably, but who I can pick the phone up to. I know who likes that. I'll pick the phone up and they'll give me a finder's fee, or I sell it on to them or something, you know, and that's really important to be able to know it doesn't suit me, it's not my bag, but I know someone else who likes to do that. It might be an HMO, it might be rent to rent, whatever it might be. And it's really important, I think, to have a black book of contacts and build that contact book up, because it is all about who you know. I don't care what anyone says. It's all about who you know in this business. It's a relationship business without question. And the more people that you know and you can trust and who are professional, the better. End of.
100%. Fantastic advice. Thanks, John.
My pleasure.
The other thing I heard from you is sometimes you just have to be patient, and depending on where we are in the market.
Yeah, I'm not very patient. That's my problem. So when I look back, you know, it's very, very hard to beat the market.
Yeah.
You know, now and again, if the market's really tough and it's really tough, yes, now and again you can steal something and beat what I call beat the market. But on the whole, the market dictates to us all, really. However good you are or not, and you're only as good as your next deal anyway, by the way. Doesn't matter whether you lost money or made money, the next deal is important, and that's the thing to focus on. And I've got one or two very successful, you know, people I know who are in big companies, you know, big property companies, and they've done nothing over the last few years. I kept bloody battling away and doing deals. Haven't made as much money on some of them as I would have thought, because you know, things have gone the wrong way in terms of costs and stuff like that, time costs. But we've still done okay with them. But I mean, I know people who say, I'm not doing anything at the moment, John. You know, I'm on my yacht, or I'm doing this. I'll come back in when the market improves a bit. Or, you know, it's been a perfect storm. You've had interest rates high, you've had bill costs going up 30-40%, and the market not moving upwards. Because when the market's moving upwards, a lot of you can wallpaper a lot of the cracks.
Of course, yeah.
You know, the way it is at the moment, and the way it's been, and the way it's going to continue, I believe, is that, you know, if you get it wrong, you're soon found out. You're soon found out, and that's what's happening, and that's why there's a lot of banks out there hurting. A lot of people who've you know, not managed to cover the extra costs themselves, and so on. And you know, it's a shame, but that's, you know, it's a tough business. It was relatively easy for a few years, and I think people thought, oh well, this is the norm. It's not the norm. The norm is now really where, you know, not much capital growth. Okay, costs. It's a perfect storm. It's not quite as tough as this, because normally there's less increase in costs, to be fair. But you know, it is a tough business. It was made to look a lot easier with interest rates very low. You know, and built and house prices zooming up, but that's not normal. This is this is more of the normal market, and this is the market you've got to be able to operate in. And this is where a lot of people, obviously, the more advice and help they can get, the better. And probably my 2-day masterclass can certainly help that. I don't do many of them, as you know, but you're coming to the next one, aren't you? So that's great.
Of course, absolutely.
Excellent.
And on that, just coming to my mind as you're saying it, anyone who doesn't know John, he's done everything and anything in property. 40 years, isn't it, John? Too young to have been
over 40 decades, which sounds better. It doesn't make me sound quite so old.
Okay, we'll go with
over
that.
40 decades. I think I've developed in properties in 87 different places in the UK.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Which is crazy. And over really probably about 4,500 properties, because we just bought a tower block which has got 80 flats in it. So that's not really cheating. That gets me probably to 4,500 roughly. So yeah, wow. Hey.
So I've visited Ipswich, as I've told you, after getting married there, saw the wine rack, and obviously you're doing the mill now. What do you think of doing these big developments as opposed to some people who focus on small to medium?
What I would say, the big developments are good for the profile. They're not always good for the bank balance, because I actually prefer to do 10 smaller deals.
10 smaller deals,
than I would a couple of. I mean, I'm doing smaller deals at the same time, so I'm fortunate I can do both. But I mean, the big deals take a long time to come to fruition. Consultants' fees, up to, I think the wine rack, the consultants' fees are 800,000. On the new one, they're even more than that. So it's not for the faint-hearted. But the idea is that the profits in them are substantial. But to be honest with you, I still much prefer to do 10 smaller deals.
Fair enough. Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, it's all about who you know. Best person to know is obviously John Howard. How can people find out more?
That's very kind of you to say so. They can certainly go on LinkedIn. I've got a few thousand people on LinkedIn who contact me and talk to me, and I've got obviously my YouTube channel, Instagram, and also TikTok. How trendy am I?
Oh wow! I'm not even on TikTok, John.
Well, I got 3.2 million views on TikTok a couple of years ago.
Oh, you said something controversial, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's called trend. Well, it's not that controversial. All I said was people should buy less Costa coffee, and have a few less takeaways and less holidays and Netflix subscriptions, and then they'll be able to, live a bit easier and pay the mortgage and pay the rent. So anyway, but that didn't go down very well. But there we go. That's life. I don't worry about it.
All right, great. So they can find you on YouTube as well, John Howard Property.
They certainly can, John Howard Property, yes, and hopefully they'll find some good tips on there. And I'm not into this hypo marketing. And if you do subscribe also to my newsletter, you won't be bombarded with things. You'll just get the newsletter once a month. There's no big marketing campaign behind it all at all. No.
Perfect. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good to see you.